Gluten Tag. In this video today, I'll be showing you when and how often you should stretch and fold, and more specifically, how to stretch and fold. First of all, this dough, I made it yesterday evening in a stream. It has around 75% hydration, and it was an overnight sourdough, and I'm waiting until my sample here doubled in size. And until then, this dough is just sitting, not doing anything. The reason why you might want to stretch and fold is that you want to create additional strength for your dough. Sorry, let me pause here for a second. If this all doesn't make any sense for you, then I would definitely recommend you to check out my last sourdough recipe you ever need, which covers almost everything from start to finish. Because your gluten relaxes over time and you want your gluten network to be a little bit tighter. This is especially important if you didn't need as much at the start, or if you're opting to bake a bread with high hydration. Then you have a very elastic dough and you need to invest a little bit more time and do a little bit more work to get that dough nice and smooth so that you have more oven spring in the end. And this already answers the next question, when you should do this. And that's when you see that your dough flattened out quite a lot. So this dough is here inside of the container, and I've only been doing one stretch and fold in the morning, but I'll now be doing another one because I see that the dough flattened out here. And that's when you want to stretch and fold. Before talking more, let me show you exactly how to do this now. I'm going to be wetting my hands with a little bit of water, and this is a great hack to make the dough not stick as much. I'm carefully removing the dough from the edges of the container all the way around. Then it's time to wet my hands one more time. And what I then like to do is I like to go here on the edges, and I will be lifting the dough upwards, and then I will fold it over. This technique is called the so-called coil fold. It's a very gentle stretch and fold technique. Okay, let me first show you and then talk about the advantages of this method. So I'm going here with my dough. Note how I'm placing the dough here on my fingertips, lifting it upwards. It should release itself from the container. And then I place the dough like this. And now what I did is I glued the dough here together pretty much, and that's what's creating the dough strength. That's what the stretch and folds are about. I rotate the dough and I repeat the same thing from the other side. Now the dough is still relatively large in this dimension, so what I will do is I will just repeat the same thing one more time. And note the dough sticks a little bit, but that's totally okay, as I'll just be using a little bit more water on my hands now. And then one more time from this side. Ooh, and now what I like to do is I like to finish this off by actually creating a dough roll. So I will not be doing this side, but what I will do is I will take this dough upwards and place this side here at the bottom of the container. And then I just place the dough over. And to finish this off, I like to tuck in the dough a little bit to give this some additional tension here. And that's a good looking dough. So that's how you do the stretch and fold, and namely the coil fold. What you need to know, the more you do this, the more you also even out your crumb. You see all those tiny pockets here of air, or this big one, very satisfying one. You will be decreasing them in size. So if you're aiming for a more open crumb, then I would advise maybe 1 or 2 stretch and folds the whole process. For my no-knead bread recipe, actually don't do any stretch and folds at all, and it has an amazing crumb. So if you are a chaser of that open delicious crumb, then you should be doing this not as much. You see the dough relaxes again a little bit, and now I'll just let that sit, and when I see that this flattened out again, then I'll do another coil fold. And I'll do this until I realize that my sample jar here for this flour has doubled in size. One issue you might encounter is that your dough is completely tearing while you're trying to stretch and fold. This is a clear sign of overfermentation. This means that you let your dough ferment for too long. Over time, the acid of your sourdough is going to damage your gluten network. The only thing you can do now is take your dough, toss it into a loaf pan, and then bake it. the next time you have to ferment your dough a little bit less or make your sourdough starter less acidic. Please also note that the sample size increase in case you take a sample really depends on how much protein, how much gluten you have inside of your flour. For this, I also have this handy chart right here. One more thing why the coil fold might be good. I want to transfer this dough to a new container here. This makes shaping in the end a little bit easier because I can just flip over this container. I can't do this with a pot. And now after doing the coil fold, I can just very gently take the dough and place it in another container because it's not stuck anymore. Also, the last thing is here, this area now is not as sticky as, for instance, here. That's because the dough is quite inflated, and when we touch it, we don't touch as much as the dough here because it's nice and round. Whereas if we were to touch here somewhere, then our finger is in contact with a lot more dough. That's why it's important to have a smooth dough. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this quick demonstration. Have fun, and as always, may the gluten be with you. Mr. Dough says bye. Bye.